Hi, everybody. I'm so excited about this topic. Yes, I'm excited about market research. Aloha to my new members. I'm going to wait just a tad for you to pop in. I just want to make sure that I'm in the right place. Let's see. I am. Beautiful. All right. I'm going to invite some people in on this while we are here. Aloha, Tamras. Good to see you. I'm going to invite some people that were interested in this to make sure that they can get the value of this. Kara, let's see. Allison, I think I already got her. Julie. I just want to make sure I invite the people that RSVP to this event. As you pop in, please say hello, prepare your questions, get out a piece of paper, a notepad, take some notes. This is going to be value packed. I'm going to be giving you a lot of specific questions, specific details, who, what, when, where, whys. So get out a pen and paper while I invite people. This is also meant to be interactive. If you have any questions right now that you're like, I need to ask about market research, go ahead and ask me. Aloha, Amanda. Good to see you. Go ahead and get out a piece of paper, something to write with, something to write on. Let me just finish inviting a couple of people to make sure that they get the value. Aloha, aloha. Okay, Lauren. A couple more. Tia, Sierra, Angelica. Tia, Sierra. As you're popping in, tell me where you're watching from. Amanda, I know you're right here on Maui. Tell me where you're watching from to those of you that I don't know. Sarah, Angelica, and two more. Sarah, Angelica, Calliope, and Kayla. Okay. Sarah, Calliope, and Kayla. All right. Now I have invited everybody that have RSVP to this event. To those of you that are watching the replay, welcome, welcome, welcome to my group. I know I have a lot of new members here. So to those of you that do not know me, my name is Marina. I am a mentor for spiritual and creative entrepreneurs. I help you get your big vision birth started, get off the ground, or help you refine the one that you already have to get clarity on your marketing, your messaging, so that you can create sales and offers and then sales that are objectionless. And what is today all about? Today is all about market research. It's a topic that is skipped a lot in business development. It's a topic that's skipped a lot in most coaching practices. I don't see a lot of people teaching this specifically for spiritual entrepreneurs because, well, a lot of people get bored with it. A lot of people are like, yeah, no, well, oh yeah, let me invite Zoe. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just start hammering off. Like I said, I do want this to be interactive. Please go ahead, ask questions. Aloha, Kayla, good to see you. What is market research? Let's just start by getting down to basics and why is it important? So you are in business, hopefully. You want to make money off of your creative endeavors. Your market is what's going to give you money. Market research is important because you need to know who is going to give you money. Who are the people that are going to give you money? Why should they give you money? How to talk them into giving you money? How to present yourself so that they're like, oh, I want to give her money or him money, right? And better yet, how much money do they want to give you? Where do they hang out so you can go find them and ask them for money? This is what market research gives you answers to, which are all great questions, right? If you're in business, the number one struggle that I hear creative and spiritual entrepreneurs have is like, how do I get more clients? How do I reach the clients that I want to reach? How do I go ahead and present myself to them? How do I go ahead and create offers that are then indestructible, unshakable? So this is going to be really powerful for you if whether or not you're watching the replay. Let me know if you resonate with any of these questions and problems and challenges that you're facing right now. If you're already been in business, are your marketing posts talking to the past version of yourself? This is a common misconception that we get taught a lot, to talk to the past version of ourselves, to create offers from that space. So if this is you, go ahead and say me, say one in the comments. Let me know if this is you. If your marketing posts are talking to the past version of yourselves, or you have derived a process based on something that you have gone through and you're like, well, I have gone through this, so I know other people are going to go through this, which is great, but your offers are still not selling. So raise your hand, give me a 1 if your marketing posts or your offers are talking to the past version of yourself. Give me a 1 if this is you. And if your offers are based on something you have gone through. Give me a 2 if you're creating offers and nobody's budging on them and nobody's selling and they're not selling. Andy says me. Is your offers and structures are based on the past version of you, right? And that's fine. It's a common misconception. We don't get taught how to find the other, the person to talk to. So raise your hand or give me a 2 if you're creating offers and they're not selling. Give me a 2 on that. If you're creating offers and nobody's budging and people are not even interested, or they're like confused, give me a 3. If you're getting constant objections on your messenger sales, on your sales calls of let me go talk to my cat or my baby, let me go consult my spirit guides, give me a 3 if your offers are constantly getting objections like this from people. Or if you're getting a lot of messages from people who want to collaborate and network. Hi, Zoe. Good to see you. Let me know give me a 5. If you're getting a lot of, did I skip 4? 1. Tamara says 1. Perfect. Give me a 4. If you're constantly getting private messages for people that are just wanting to collaborate and network with you and don't see you as an authority. This is a really common problem as well that market research can also solve. Give me a 6. Are you playing with familiar audiences? If most of the people that you are marketing to, you have kind of the same few people interacting with you, that you're not reaching out to the wider scope of people because, well, you don't really know how to talk to them. And it's easier for you to just speak with the audiences that are around you right now. And they just see you as a friend, and they just see you like as popping up all the time instead of an authority to buy from. So if this is you, if you're playing with familiar audiences and people just want to collaborate with you and people just want to kind of hang out rather than see you as authority, buy from you, give me a 6. If you're getting prospects that are slimy and slippery, that are just like, oh yeah, I'm interested, and then the next minute they're like, oh wait, no, just kidding, give me a 7. I have just a couple more, you guys. I'm seeing a 4 from Andy. All right. So you're creating offers that are not selling or you're getting objections. Give me an 8 if your prospects are not seeing the value of your service. If it's hard for you to convey that because you don't know it yourself, or your prospects are constantly giving you objections, this goes in line with another thing. If your prospects are not seeing the value of your service, go ahead and give me an 8. And I have one more. Number 6, playing with familiar audiences. Exactly, Amanda. Yeah, I know you are, and I know a lot of it is just because of not being able to talk to the audiences that are way outside the pastures that we play in. 8, not seeing the value of your service. All right. And then lastly, give me a 9. Are you getting messages of people saying that they want more information about your program outside of just give me your scheduling link and let's go? So these are all symptoms that you are not quite reaching the other. Okay, so when you talk about your offers, like I said, a lot of you are talking about what you have gone through yourself. 9. Okay, so you're getting a lot of messages saying, oh, can I have more information, please? Because of, and the reason why this happens, Andy, in 9, 8 and 9, so the value of your service and they want more information. The reason why this happens, Andy, is because the audience is not trusting you as the authority, and the audience doesn't see you as somebody who can help them right now, because your offers are not yet structured for the other, right? As you said, I think you gave me a 4 as well, where you are basing your offers and structures on something that you have gone through yourself, which is fine. However, if you want to start selling a package deal, to a person that is going to get the highest impact from you and is going to pay you a high ticket amount to take them on this journey, this is where market research becomes really, really important. And most of you are not familiar as to how to go ahead and do market research. Does anybody have any questions about these kinds of symptoms that I've discovered or described to you so far? Is anybody experiencing something else as far as symptoms go, with how your prospects and how your audience relationships are right now? Is anybody having any other problems when it comes to sales, marketing your service? Go ahead and type in comments about what kind of things are you currently experiencing. If you covered this, but my issue was like that I was creating new stuff and not solving problems, and I was solving 100,000 problems simultaneously and not loving it. Yes, and here's the other thing about spiritual and creative entrepreneurs. You utilize your business right now as a creative expression, right? You're like, sweet, let me write a marketing post, but it ends up being just you wanting to express itself, which is a topic for another day, but there's a lot to be said for artistic expression and kind of infusion of your creativity with a direct message versus let me just utilize my business as my way to express myself. And that's another, not mistake, but that's another kind of thing that a lot of spiritual and creative entrepreneurs are making because perhaps you have not done your market research. So you're not sure like what to lead with and what to focus on in your message. Because I'm sure, Zoe, that you can have 1,000,001 ways to create a marketing message while still infusing every single ounce and essence of you into it. But present yourself as valuable, present yourself as an authority, present yourself to your prospect as like, hey, I can solve your problem for you and I know I'm the shit, so come buy from me. So how do we get to that? Is anybody else experiencing problems with their marketing, with their prospect relationships, or their sales currently? Or their offer creation? Are you experiencing issues? If your offers are not selling, I would guarantee that you're probably experiencing problems in your offer creation that we can go ahead and address. I'm about to get into the step-by-step. So if you are just joining, go ahead and get out a piece of paper. Now would be an incredible time to do so. Having trouble hearing you. Does anyone else have a hard time hearing me? Julie says she's having a hard time hearing me. If you can hear me, can you guys tell me if you can hear me? I'm gonna pop myself open on. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Yes, Tamara says yes, can hear me. Okay. Julie, it might be just, I don't know. Okay, cool. Awesome. So, Julie, I think that's just your thing. I'm not sure what else to say about that. I just adjusted my headphones. So if the problem persists, if we have any kind of audio or video issues, can you guys please tell me? Um, I am going to go ahead and jump in, a step-by-step process. I can hear okay, but you keep cutting out for me. Don't know if it's you or not. Um, so far, my Wi-Fi is on point. I am doing this on my phone. Internet is wonky, keeps jumping in and out. Can hear well. It could be my Wi-Fi. I will try to speak slower. I have a hard time with my Wi-Fi at this space. To those of you that have talked to me, you kind of know this. So if something cuts out and you don't hear me, let me know if you need me to repeat myself at any point in time. So, okay, let's jump in. Step 1 of market research. Are you guys ready? Who's ready to learn about market research? I'm going to make this as exciting as I can for you because I know it's such a stuffy topic. But all we're doing is talking to people and we're getting really nosy and we're getting up in their business. Like, we're getting up in there. We're asking them really uncomfortable questions. And it depends on who you are and what service you provide. This can or may not be really fun for you, but it's required. It's kind of like a doctor who needs an evaluation before they can do a diagnosis and then prescribe treatment. That's exactly what we're doing with market research. We're doing a diagnosis of our market to then ask them for money in the proper way. What can be better, right? Okay, so step one of market research, know who you want to talk to. This is number one, okay? And this is something that we talk about in my program Coalesce. There's a couple steps that we go through before this. Before you know who to talk to, yes, Amanda says yes. Before we know who to talk to, we need to go ahead and discover who would be the most pleasurable for us to work with, because we don't want to work with pain in the ass people who are druggies or whatever. I mean, I don't know, no judgment here. We don't want to work with certain kinds of people, so we have to describe the attributes of who would be really pleasant for us to communicate and develop an intimate relationship with. Most of you are healers, coaches, transformative arts of some sort, creative entrepreneurs, right? So as you develop an intimate relationship with people, you want to make sure that the people that you develop an intimate relationship with are indeed pleasant. So you have to know certain attributes. You have to know certain attributes, and you have to have an idea, at least, who you begin working with. You don't have to have your ideal client nailed yet, like knowing what kind of buffalo chicken wing sauce they like and what color underwear they wear. You don't need to know that. What you need to know are what kind of attributes. Yes, Lauren, you are such a sweetheart. I love working with you. You're amazing. So you need to know what kind of attributes these people have. Are they action takers? Are they healthy? Are they business owners? Are they other healers? How do they think? Are they more logical and systematic? Are they more, spiritually inclined? You need to have like some sort of a basic knowledge of what kind of personality you wish to work with and speak to. Because then you need to know where to go find them and where to go ask for their hey, I want to talk to you. So step one of market research, you really need to know who you're talking to, because, you don't want to waste your time. However, no market research is a waste of time. Even if it's not your ideal client, write this down, you guys. Even if it's not your ideal client, you can still learn something about what not to do in your marketing message. So if somebody is willing to jump on the phone with you and answer your nosy questions, do not deny them. Go ahead and do it. Even if they don't fit your ideal client profile, okay? So know who you are targeting, and by this, I mean their attributes, their personality types, maybe their income level. What is it that they do? Are they a healer? Are they a coach? Are they an entrepreneur? Are they a videographer? Are they an interior designer? Are they, a pregnant woman? Are they a real estate agent? You really need to know at least the specifics. And you really need to know what you don't want so you can cut the fat. For instance, you need to know that they're mentally and emotionally stable. Okay, they are grounded, because you don't want to talk to somebody airy. They perhaps have a certain level of business achieved at this point. Usually what I find for entrepreneurs, we want to talk to people who we perceive are ahead of us, because those are the people that are going to give us the most kind of value. The people that you perceive as intimidating will probably be the ones that are going to be the most eye-opening for you. The more specific you can get, the better. But, we're talking to people, and the whole point of market research, write this down too, stay open and stay curious. You're so welcome, Kira. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And to those of you that are watching the replay, go ahead, say replay. Please feel free to drop in questions. I will answer them, and I will come back and answer them. So write this down. Stay curious, stay open. Even if the people that you're approaching are super intimidating and they're millionaires, stay curious, stay open. Even if the people that you want to approach are healers and mentors, but the ones that you end up with are like logical IT people and developers, stay curious and stay open for those too, okay? Step 2, the approach. How do you approach somebody and ask them? I'm seeing like a million hearts. I think your heart button is stuck. I'm seeing like all of these hearts. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Okay, so, oh my God, are you guys seeing all of these hearts? That's amazing. I must have said something amazing. Okay, step two of the process. How do you approach somebody? When you approach an entrepreneur, especially a busy one, make sure that you provide some sort of an incentive for them. Because when you end up at somebody's inbox who may be really busy and be like, hey, can I interview you for market research? They'll be like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? And especially for busy people, the way you approach them could mean everything. Okay? You have to give them some sort of value or an incentive. I am amazing. Thank you. The hearts are really quite distracting, but I'm loving that you're loving it. Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you, Kira. This is so funny. I'm glad that you're loving this information. Make sure you write some of this down. So the approach, okay? Whenever you approach somebody, here's how you're going to phrase it. Hi, my name is so-and-so, and I am an entrepreneur. I'm a mentor for spiritual entrepreneurs. I am looking to expand my business, and I am interested in learning more about people such as yourself. I am looking for these qualities. Are you making this much per month? Are you facing these kinds of challenges in your business? Are you serving this kind of audience? If very well trained by my Facebook coach, keep them coming. I mean, by all means, I'm glad you're loving it. It just cracked me up. I'm like, is her heart button stuck, or does she just love me that much? That's awesome. So as you, like I said, approach them, ask them, these are the qualities I'm looking for. Are you serving this kind of an audience? Are you, how long have you been in business this long? Whatever kind of attribute you're specifically looking for. So let me give you an example of how you would phrase this. My name is Marina, and I'm a mentor for spiritual entrepreneurs. I saw your profile, and I love your message. I think you're very intriguing, and I'm loving what you're doing here. I'm loving your mission and your mission statement and everything. Make sure you boost them up and give them a lot of smoke up their butt. If they're a busy million-dollar entrepreneur, you need to do this. Because otherwise, they'll be like, who the fuck is this, and why should I talk to her? Right? So make sure you say something amazing about them, because they'll be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm amazing. Okay, so lead something like that. So I'm Marina. I'm a mentor for spiritual entrepreneurs. I love your message. I'm loving what you're doing. And I'm looking to expand my business to reach a completely new audience. I'm looking to expand more into the corporate world, and I'm looking for entrepreneurs who are making at least $20,000 a month, who perhaps have a few evergreen courses, and I would like to learn more about some of the challenges that you're facing in your personal life. Would you be willing to hop on the phone with me for a couple of questions? In return, I'd be happy to provide an incentive of either cross-promotion, of sharing your video, sharing your messages, sharing our interview publicly, or in return, if you can't think of something like that, in return, I'd be happy to mail you a Starbucks gift card. You guys, I've had to do this because market research and their opinion is gold, especially if you're targeting entrepreneurs that are way outside of your league right now, that are making millions of dollars a day, and you want to know how they're doing it. They're not just going to go ahead and share their secrets with you. You have to give them an incentive for why the fuck they should talk to you. Market research companies charge a lot of money. So make sure that your approach blows a whole bunch of amazing gold up their butt before you actually talk to them, and make sure that it's like real and genuine. Because when you approach them, make sure that you are authentic and you are indeed interested in learning about like how is it that they do what they do. So be genuine, be authentic. But if you are targeting entrepreneurs who are making more money than you, they're probably going to be busy, and they're probably going to be very selective with their time. Because I'll tell you this much, like, I would not be open unless somebody presented me with an incentive. So one of the things that I had to do before is I bought a pedicure for an entrepreneur that I was interviewing. I'm like, hey, what are some pedicure salons near you that I can buy you a pedicure for, because your information is this valuable for me. Do you see how do you see how this can be completely like rephrased? Yes, most people would be willing to talk to you. If they don't, one of the things that I had is like some people were not willing to talk to me, but they were willing to answer questions over Messenger, which more people are more apt to do that, but just take whatever you can get. Their information, you guys, treat it as fucking gold because it is. Okay? So that's the step 2, approach. Does anybody have any questions on the approach of how to approach somebody? Is anybody like unclear or has a specific person in mind and you're like, I don't know how to approach them? Does anybody have any questions on the approach before I go into where to look? Or say no more questions. Or if you're Kira, give me a whole bunch of hearts. Or laughy faces. Let me give you an example because I do have people in this audience that are not just targeting entrepreneurs, but say for instance, one of my clients is doing doula and birth type services. And so if I was her, also just stay open, stay curious. But whenever you approach people, you can give them an incentive like, hey, can I take you out for a cup of coffee or buy you a lunch? And just make sure that you offer an incentive before they even ask for it, because it will most likely guarantee a yes that people will get on the phone with you or that people will want to meet up with you. I also have a client who's getting more into like the interior design type spaces. So for her, I would approach also with an incentive like, hey, I'm a student of interior design. How can I go ahead and, create more success in my business? I'm interested in learning more. I'd be happy to buy you a cup of coffee. I just want to ask you a few questions. Most people, you guys, are really down to help. So if you approach them in humility and with incentive, you're more likely than not, you're going to get a yes. Where to look? All right. Are you guys ready for this, or do you have any questions on the approach? I'm going to keep going. Where to look? Your primary sources are going to be direct messages, direct people in person, networking events. LinkedIn is a great place for that because that's what people do there. People literally are just like, hi, let's network. Oh, hi. Okay. Yeah, let's network. That's literally what LinkedIn is about. Yes. Ready. Perfect. So your primary sources are going to be direct PMs. If you find a Facebook profile of somebody you think is interesting, send them a message. An Instagram profile, send them a message. If you find somebody on the beach who's like really beautiful and you want to ask them about how they're so beautiful, come up to them and ask them. How do I find people that are overwhelmed by their business and feeling burnt out? You can start by asking on Facebook groups, which is actually, I'm getting to secondary sources here. So hold that thought. I will tell you in just a second. So, for incentive, secondary sources, post a Facebook post that is very open, stating like, how many of you are feeling burnt out by your business? And then go to them. Or another thing, you know what? Actually, don't do that. Scratch that. Unless you want to. What I would do instead, Pamela, because you don't want to focus on the problem. You don't want to be like, oh, poor you, What you want to do instead is, how many of you wish you had more time for self-care and self-nourishment? It is going to open up a whole different conversation. It's a lot more open of a question that really releases people's vulnerability rather than like focusing on, you're burnt out and it sucks. You don't want to do that. You don't want to throw that in people's faces. Lead with their amazingness. How many of you are not enjoying your business as much as you want? How many of you are not enjoying as much time with your baby? And then open up the conversation of what would you do instead? What would you do differently? This is a great also place to get some of these answers, is create these kinds of open-ended Facebook conversational questions. If you just ask people, hi, jump on the market research call with me if you're burnt out. Most people don't really want to admit their problems publicly like that, especially when they're called out, unless they're really desperate. And Pamela, you don't want to work with desperate people. You don't want that energy. You want to work with people who are open and eager to change something about it. So when you lead with a potential outcome of like enjoying more time with our family, it opens up a different conversation. Does that make sense? Yeah. You're so welcome. Let me know if that makes sense. So, posting a Facebook post that is very open ended like that. And like I said, don't lead with the specific pain of like, how many of you shitty client relations or whatever? How many of you are not making as much money in your business? Most people don't want to divulge that information publicly, especially if they are trying to keep a certain persona in the online space. Okay? Lead with the potential outcome. Yes, Kira is on point. She's such a star student. Lead with the potential outcome of what can be in store for them as a result of working with you. So that's a really great way of utilizing your secondary sources. And you guys, we have social media, LinkedIn. We have so many access to community events in person through social media that can connect you to all sorts of people. And make sure the way that you approach people is always in humility and curiosity, and make sure that you don't jab them in their pain right away. This is something that we want to do as we establish an intimate relationship and as we establish the questions. So now I'm going to get into what questions to ask these people. This is going to be really fun. And we kind of have started that, Pamela, of what kind of questions to open up this conversation with. Does anybody have any questions so far before I keep hammering out? If you haven't taken notes yet, you really want to make sure you take notes on this part of what kind of questions to ask if and when you do get them on the phone or in a private setting where you can go ahead and get nosy. Once they agree, then you can get nosy. In public, and when you first start to open this conversation, please don't. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to keep going, if not. So, first question you want to ask is lead with their, like, well, obviously, hi, who are you? The first question you want to ask is, what is your normal, like, now? What is your circumstance now? And what I mean by this is, if you are approaching a business owner, you want to ask them, like, how much money are you making in your business? You know, if they're open to sharing that. And of course, preempt that. You know, feel free to not answer any question that you don't want to answer. Make sure you state that at the start. Write that down. Feel free to deny answering any question you don't want to answer, that you're uncomfortable answering. That is totally fine. But, you know, ask them as much as you can, because now you have them. So make the most of your time. So ask them about their current reality. Say if you're a relationship coach and you're targeting couples, you can start asking, like, what's your relationship like? What is your communication style like? How do you, what is your morning routine like with your partner? How much sex are you having? How many people with? Are you guys monogamous? You know, make sure you preempt that you don't have to answer anything you don't want to, but feel free to get nosy, okay? And I trust you to know the fine line of where to stop and when to stop. So ask them about their current circumstance. If they're a business owner, ask them, do they work with one-on-one clients? In what facet? What is it that they do? Who is it that they do this for? If they don't know, we're on number 4 now. No, I'm covering questions, what kind of questions to ask once we get people on board. So once you get people on the phone or once you get people privately, these are the kinds of questions that you can ask them. That's where we're at right now. So, okay, once you ask them about their current reality, specifically if you're asking an entrepreneur, you know, what kind of ways do you work with people? Do you have courses? Do you work with one-on-ones? Do you do evergreen courses? The reason why it's important to do that, because this will give you a clue. Pamela, if you're still watching, you can, the reason why this is important is because if they tell you that they're doing a lot of techie stuff and they're doing a lot of email campaign and if they're doing a lot of course-like stuff and they say they don't have time, well, you just pointed out an inefficiency to them. Like, okay, well, that's probably why, because you're spending a lot of time behind the computer, instead of like focusing on your clients and making money in other ways, Okay. So ask them about their current circumstance, be as specific as possible, and make sure you preempt that they don't have to answer anything they don't want to. That's question 1. Question 2, ask them about their big vision. What is it that they want to achieve? Whenever you ask people about their big visions, it gets people in a more expanded and open state. When you, and here is where you pay attention to not just their words, but also their energy about what is it that's the most important for them as they're speaking it out. Notice their body language and their face. Notice the tone of their voice as they're speaking about their big vision, because you will really know what is actually important for them. Does that make sense? So pay attention here, not just to what is it they're saying, but how. Because then you will really get to know their values. You will really get to know what is it that you need to lead with in your marketing message. Does this make sense? You can also ask, what is your more immediate goal? And by this, I mean 60 to 90 days. Yet again, pay attention to not just their words, but how it is that they're saying it. And ask them for specificity. Ask them for specificity on this. Ask them to tell you, like, what is it that they desire in the next 90 days? Do they want another client? Do they want to improve their relationship? Do they want to create a less cluttered space? Do they want to create more connection to their body and to the divine? Ask them specifics, like, what does that look like for you? What do your bowel movements look like? I mean, literally, like, ask them specifics. So that's question number 3. Question number 4, what is your perceived challenge in order for you to achieve this goal? Like, what is in the way right now? What is stopping you? What do you feel is stopping you from achieving that goal? What is challenging for you? And let them speak. Just shush over here. Just let them speak and notice the kind of words that they use. Notice where their energy goes. If they're saying like, oh, it's money, even though, anyway, whatever. Notice how many excuses they make. The more excuses they make for this question, the less you probably want to work with them, because you want to work with people who are action takers, who will follow your guidance if you are a mentor, if you are in some sort of transformational arts field. So what is your perceived challenge? What else is stopping you? That's question 4. Next, make sure to ask, what is the one thing about yourself personally? So say, for instance, the perceived challenge, you would ask about their business, about the relationship. They will usually name external circumstances, right? They'll usually be like, oh, it's the weather, it's my cat, I hate the color purple, or it's Mercury in retrograde, or whatever, okay? Make sure that then, if they haven't covered their own fears, what is at least one thing about yourself that you feel is stopping you from achieving this goal? So make sure you ask them the internal reasons. Shift their attention inward, because then you could really get to the feeling of why they feel they can't achieve it, and not just this perceived challenge, because most people are going to name a perceived challenge and you'll be like, yeah, okay, that's interesting, it's a load of bullshit, but all right. Don't be like that. But after you've done enough of these, you will see themes of the kind of excuses people make, and to me, I giggle about it, because to me it's funny, and I have compassion for it, as far as just how much people limit themselves, by external circumstances that they feel are limiting to them. So make sure in question 5, you ask them, what is the one thing about you, your personality, yourself, that you feel like is in the way of you getting this goal? So they may say things like anxiety, insomnia, self-sabotage. Let them speak. Watch their energy. This is gold, you guys. These 2 questions carry the most power of how you're going to create your offers, and additionally, how you're going to craft your marketing message to them. You're going to lead with this. You're going to lead with, how you can solve this challenge. But you're going to lead with compassion to say that you know. these next ones, question number 6. What kind of investments have you made in the past? And why is this important for you to know? Because you will know what kind of things has this person been willing to spend money on. So if it's somebody who is having relationship troubles, have they invested in marriage counseling? If it's somebody who has insomnia, have they invested in a holistic healer? Have they invested in massage therapy? Whatever. So this is really important because it will show you what they were willing to spend money on before. So even if they're not your ideal client right now, you can still utilize that information. Does that make sense? So, number 7, what kind of investments have you made that have worked for you, that provided amazing relief or results for you? This is also really important because then you also know what to create in your offers to make sure that you get them results. So this is also really important to know what is it that they spent money on and it provided results and they'd be willing to do it again because it helped them. Okay? This is kind of an offshoot of the question, but what has moved the needle on this in a very big way for you? That's another way you can phrase it. What has moved the needle on this health issue you're dealing with? What has moved the needle on this transformation that you want to achieve? What has really moved the needle for you on improving your relationship? What has really moved the needle on you getting more clients in your business? Okay, so continuing on. Why, this is an interesting one. If the person is open, you can play with it. Why did it cost you not to do something like this earlier? Or I'm sorry, what did it cost you not to do something like this earlier? The reason why this is important is like, can you imagine not having that? I'll give you myself as an example. I invested recently into another mentor and 3 mentors in order for me to like revamp my business. What has it cost me to not do this and take an approach of having a one-on-one mentor is a lot of frustration, a lot of do-it-yourself, a lot of piecing it together myself, a lot of like inconsistent results, a lot of anxiety, a lot of inconsistency, a lot of self-doubt and self-sabotage. I mean, it was a lot. So if the person is open to this, you can piggyback off of like, what would it cost you if you didn't make that investment in the past? What did it cost you if you didn't seek that service in the past? What would it cost you if you didn't hire so-and-so in the past? Continuing on. Does anybody have any questions so far? Let me know if you have questions. The next one is a doozy. What kind of things have you invested in that did not work for you? This is an interesting one because this will give you a complete no-no of what not to say in your marketing, of what not to even mention, of what not to even put into your offer. Because if a person smells it with a 10-foot pole, even if everything else about you is sparkles and rainbows, they will not hire you if something over here did not make sense for them. If something smells of a past investment that didn't work, that they're just like, nope, fuck that. Or if something that was like a really unpleasant experience for them or something that did not work, they're not going to spend their money on it again. Even if it's not a traumatic experience or something bad. But you want to know like what not to do. And if they're open to sharing, like what did you try that has not worked? And here's where like the best colors is going to come out. You're going to see whether or not this person is an accepting person, or whether or not they are self-responsible, or whether or not they put themselves into a victim state of like, oh yeah, I did that and that, so fuck everything. Instead of like, well, that didn't work, but you know, maybe it was because of this. Well, that didn't work, but maybe I was in a different time being, maybe I wasn't ready for that. Or maybe I didn't understand it or didn't implement it. You know, so watch for how they answer this question too, because it's really going to give you insight on what kind of person this is. Loving these questions. Good. I'm so glad. I was wondering if these would apply for you, Amanda, but let me know if you have questions on how to make these more specific for you and your line of work. And Lauren, same goes for you. Kira, same goes for you. If you want me to rephrase any of these to make it more industry specific for you, I'd be happy to do that. Or anybody watching the replay. These are fun. These next couple, I only have like 2 or 3 left. What are you looking to invest in near future? Whether it be a relationship coach, whether it be a sex coach, whether it be an energy healer, like what is your next investment? Or if you had the money right now, what would you invest in? Like what would you buy? What kind of service? And this will really give you clarity on what they think they need, or whether or not they'll be attracted in your service to your service in the first place. So what are you looking to invest in if you had money? This is a really powerful question. You want to see like what they think they need next, and additionally what to lead with, because if your offer or service is something different than what they say in this question, then it's your job to bridge the gap between what they think they need and what you have to offer. Because even if you know you can help them, but they like say this answer, just make sure that you lead with this in your marketing message, with this answer. Does that make sense? The answer from this question. Is this making sense? Sorry, I don't know if that was clear for you guys. If they mention a specific coach, a specific mentor, they're like, I want to invest in her. You could be like, why? You know? And if they don't want to answer why, you can go and stalk that specific person and see what is it that he or she is leading with. What is it about her? And see if you can pick her brain about her energy. Like, why are they picking that person? And see if you can model certain aspects of it in your messaging. And lastly, at what level are you comfortable investing in? We want to know how much money they're willing to part with if they find value in this service. Like, at what level? Like, what would it cost you? And like, at what level are you comfortable investing in this thing, this coach, whatever? If it's a coach that costs like 20 grand for a program, then like, cool, awesome. Then you know how you can price your offers. If it's an interior design agency that charges like out the yin yang for their services, amazing. You know, if it's somebody that, you know, perhaps has like lower prices than you, then you either can adjust accordingly or show them the value of your service and why it's so much more valuable than what they perceive. And that's what your job is to do in your offer creation as well as in your marketing messaging. And this is something that we cover in Coalesce, you guys. If you're completely lost on how to do this yourself, like, I am a master at this. This is what I walk my clients through. And if you guys haven't talked to me about joining Coalesce yet, you really need to do that, because I will guide you through this in a really painful way that's industry specific for you. Because I realize right now I'm giving you a lot of examples that apply to various industries, right? So I will drop a comment here to talk to me if you are interested in joining and being walked through this process for your specific business, because I know it's probably difficult to piece all this information. If they are not your ideal client after everything you've divulged from at this point, they can potentially become it. Here's the other part of how to close a potential market research call. This, you guys, is some of my favorite things, and I've done that before. I've definitely closed somebody on a market research call. Maybe just because I'm a sales queen like that, but anyway. So here's how you can do this. If you know when you have listened with your other brain and you know you can help them with your service throughout this whole process that you have divulged, here's what you can do. You're like, well, I have an idea. You know, after we have conversated about everything you've described to me, that every single perceived challenge of yours, whether it be personal or external, I have recently come up with a service and this offer that really, not attacks, what's the word, alleviates a lot of the challenges that you've described to me. And here's how. So check this out, and walk them through your process. So, for instance, on my end, if I'm talking to somebody who's like really unclear on their messaging because they're a spiritual entrepreneur that has a hard time pulling their vision through, I'm like, hey, I've walked you, I've developed this program and this process that is really like, it's going to walk you through it step by step. And here's how. Like, here's how. When you appeal to their, like, not just, oh, this sucks to be you because you're being challenged with your life circumstance, whatever it might be, you're like, hey, I've made a solution specifically for you. And here's how we're going to do this. Like, I wrote this out, like, step by step by step. And this will be your offer creation, and this is something that we do in Coalesce as well. This will be actually the next step of the process. But once you have come up with an offer, you have a potential to potentially close your market research calls. If you have developed that kind of a rapport and you feel like every single one of your gifts just checks off with every single question that you ask, and they give you this challenge, you're like, I so got that. Oh, you have a challenging, like, say for one of my clients, she's looking into becoming like a birth pre, during, and post mentor, counselor, facilitator. So say if she's on a market research call with somebody, she would go ahead and be like, oh, wow, you know what? I've actually created a process that can help you during the first trimester of some of the things that you said you have experienced about your insomnia and about the uneasiness and the anxiety that you feel. I have this perfect modality for you that will really help dispel a lot of that in a very loving way. And then I have developed, this other modality that will really help you during your third trimester by positioning your body a certain way so that you're not pained as you're carrying this baby. So you see how I mean? Then you could present this process to them and have your market research call potentially be a sales call, only if, you guys, do this only if you have talked to at least 20 people and you have divulged an amazing offer. Only do that then. Don't try to close them if you have not created an offer yet. Only create an offer after you have talked to at least 20 people. Write that down. Talk to at least 20 people. That is my general rule of thumb. Get as many people on the phone as possible. Get curious, get up in their business to make sure that you pick out the same things that they say over and over to the point of nauseam, you guys. The reason why I want you to do this, it's almost like fitness. It's almost like strength training. The more you hear something and the more you see somebody having the same exact problem, the more confident you will become in speaking about it, because you know a lot of people have this problem, and the more confident you will become in sharing your solution to it. Is this making sense, you guys? If it's a completely new offer, you can be like, how valuable would the service be to you? Like, imagine, like, how valuable would it be? And that's a sales conversation technique that you can, oh, sorry, I just have a pigeon that walked into my house. Don't mind me. Like, what would it cost you to not have this service? So essentially repeat that before. That is if you want to close them, if you are that badass and if you're at this level. But this is something you can try if you are confident in your offer, if you have already created your offer. If you have not, watch this video over and talk to 20 people. Ask them these questions. Get curious. Get up in their business. Make sure that you ask for as much specificity as possible with every single person, even if you have heard the answer time and time again. Pretend like you're hearing it for the first time and really soak in how it is that they're saying it. After a certain amount of repetition, that is what you're going to use in your marketing, in your PR, in talking to people. Is this making sense to you guys? Because I am done with my notes and everything that I needed to cover. Yeah, absolutely. And now you see the importance of it. The reason being is once this is hammered out, you guys, you can create such a powerful offer, because every challenge, you'll be like, yep, I heard that before and I have a solution to it. Yep, I heard that before. I have a solution for that too. Yep, I've heard this 20 times now. Cool. I know that, like, I have a solution to it, especially if you have facilitated a person through a certain transformation, then this is going to give you so much more confidence. Does anybody have any questions on everything or anything that I have mentioned so far? I have scheduled for a few more minutes, but I'll stay on for as long as needed to make sure that I answer your guys' questions. If you're watching the replay, like I said, feel free to post questions about industry-specific questions that I can help you phrase and translate, because that's another one of my geniuses, is helping you translate into your industry. What is it that you're doing? If you have no more questions, say no more questions. If you are just popping on, you need to find what your package needs to provide before you can create a package. My star student! Woohoo! Exactly. She has got it. She's got it. Lauren, you are on fire, my love. Exactly. And Lauren is actually in an amazing transformational space where she's going to be working with physical spaces, not just internal and emotional spaces. So fuck yeah, girl. The last part makes a lot of sense, and I love that. Hearing the challenges repeated by all these people, then I have more confidence in my offer, and it's all tailored to their needs. Exactly. So the whole point of market research, you guys, we are all in a space of service here. The only way you can make a lot of money is if you provide a lot of service, and if you provide highly valuable service. And by that, I mean, somebody made this analogy for me. It was actually my coach's coach. This coaching line, but I'll give this to you. This is how she phrased it. When you create an offer, it's like, she simplified it, but say, you know, your best friend really likes blueberries. And so you're like, wow, they really like blueberries. So you can get dressed up as a blueberry and dye your hair blue, and then you can make them a blueberry pie and be like, hi, I made this blueberry pie just for you. And this is exactly like what we're going through, but humans are a lot more complex than just blueberry pie. So that's the analogy that she has created. But say, for instance, you yourself like apple pie, and you come up to your friend and you're like, I really love apple pie, so I made this apple pie just for you. And that's the unfortunate part when a lot of people create marketing and messaging. They're like all about the apple pie when their ideal clients actually want the blueberry pie. Does that make sense? I know that's oversimplified, but like, I really want you to get it through to your head. What's really going to make you a lot of money and what's really going to make you really successful is that in every step of your business, that you're in high integrity, high currency of your work. By that I mean highly charged. I get chills talking about market research and serving people. So I know I'm on the right path here. High currency, high integrity, and high value. High value. What is the highest value that we can provide? And we do that by always being client-centered and keeping the other in mind. Apple pie, right? I hope that analogy made sense. That's a tasty metaphor. Good, good, good. Do any of you, and Lauren is just like, but I want blueberry pie. Andy, so you lost Lauren there as a connection. So time to learn how to make blueberries, but you already know how to make pie. And, oh, this is a great analogy, actually. I'm going to go off on a rant here. Makes a lot of sense. To those of you that are evolving in your genius, the only way that your genius is going to evolve is like through the relation of other people. So Andy, for instance, you may already have the genius of baking stellar pies. Does it necessarily matter if it's blueberry or apple? You may need to change up some ingredients, but it doesn't take out the core of you being able to make blueberry pies. Does that make sense? Or say, for instance, my genius is like translation. Does that necessarily matter in who I serve and how? Not really, because my genius is still there. Is it evolving as I work with different clients? Absolutely. Absolutely. So on that note, does anybody have any questions? I am going to, ooh, this is awesome. I'm going to write this up in the document and, should I blast it? How should I do this? Blast maybe an email list. Cool. I'll think of something. I'll write this video up in the document for all of you, because that's my gift to you. If none of you have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and pop off. Perfect time. It is 10:59 where I'm at. I scheduled it till 11, so woohoo! Lauren, okay, cool, awesome. I will email you a document for sure. Much aloha to everybody who has joined or has joined the replay. Thanks so much for coming. If you're watching the replay, post questions. Feel free to PM me. If you are not yet in my Coalesce program because you're like really confused on any of this process, go ahead and PM me or schedule a call with me. It costs you nothing to talk to me. I only have 2 spots open, one for intensive and one for immersive until the end of the year. So I am capping my client capacity, and then I'm going to make a course. So there we have it. Andy, yeah, excellent. I'm so glad that you have benefited from this. And on that note, you're so welcome. Excellent, you guys. We'll see you all soon. Cheers.